The latest in the Michelle Troconis case, you may have heard they've lost yet another juror, down to 6 in the box plus 2 alternates. I'm going to do a head count when I'm there next week to sort out exactly who's missing. But we're back in court now for the DNA expert who's been on the stand. She was there all day yesterday. She's back now. She's under cross-examination. Let's go back live.
So sustained.
Would you also assume, for purposes of my hypothetical, that a person hands a piece of Easter Bunny chocolate, breaks it off, and hands it to the second person, and that person then puts it in their mouth? Would there be a possible, I'm not finished with my question. Would there be a possibility that DNA would be transferred to that second person's hands based on that scenario?
I object. Same objection.
Well, this is walking back the hypothetical, but any extension of the chocolate candy will then don the clothing of a hypothetical, and that will probably run into an objection, which the court would probably sustain. So the court will allow the chocolate candy example. The objection is overruled.
Sorry, can you repeat the scenario?
Yes, if a person was holding a chocolate, these chocolate Easter bunnies, right? And they break off a piece of that with their hand, and they hand it to the second person. And that second person then puts that candy, the chocolate in their mouth. Is it possible that the DNA would transfer from the first person, the one who's holding the chocolate bunny, to the hands of the recipient of that chocolate candy?
It's possible.
All right. So whenever you transfer DNA from one person to another, anything that person, the second person, touches might also contain some of those skin cells of the first person, right?
It's possible, yes.
And it would be enough so that it would be detectable through a swab and then placed through the STR mix program. Is that right?
Objection calls for speculation.
Well, the question is, would it be detectable? That's the question.
Yes.
Well, the court would assume that the answer is going to be articulated by the expert, either that, yes, that's possible, or yes with an explanation, or no with an explanation. So the court will overrule the objection.
Do you remember the question?
Will it be detected?
Yeah.
It all depends on how much DNA was transferred from the first time to the second person, and how long the time frame was in between. I couldn't say that it would definitely be detected.
Oh, not necessarily definitely, but it's possible to be detected.
If there was enough DNA there, yes.
Right. And you said over what period of time? Is there a minimum or maximum period of time that DNA disappears from a surface?
No, again, it's all the different situations, what kind of DNA it is, what kind of elements it's exposed to, how long, how hard it was pushed on that material, friction, the kind of surface it is, if it's porous. There's so many situations. I couldn't tell you how long.
Would weather affect that in terms of it being, if it's warmer as opposed to like now it's snowing out, would that affect it?
Oh yeah, all weather, yes.
And so warm weather would be more likely to last longer, is that right?
No, warm weather would also increase moisture and degradation of bacteria.
And how long would it take for DNA to degrade in warm weather?
There's no time frame. Again, it's how much DNA is there, what kind of DNA is there, how hot the temperature is. I couldn't give you a time frame.
Have you been able to recover DNA for something that's been exposed to moist weather for 1 or 2 days?
I don't know that I've ever have a sample that I specifically did that, no.
All right, what about it indoors? Inside a home, would it last longer if it's not exposed to the elements?
It could.
I have no further questions. Well, if I could just hold on for 1 second, I just want to confirm. So I just want to be clear that when you did your testing, some of you testified that some of the swabs were in fact where a contributor was the subject of the toothbrush swab, correct? In the comparison you did.
That I matched the toothbrush to some swabs?
Yes.
Yes, I did, yes.
All right, and so that we're not talking around it, if we were to assume that the toothbrush belonged to Jennifer Dulos, which is one of the things you did assume, right?
Yes.
Right. Then you still can't tell whether the DNA that you examined and deconvoluted using STR mix came from the mouth, from blood, or from skin cells, right?
The DNA that was on the toothbrush?
Well, we assume the DNA in the toothbrush must have come from inside the mouth, right?
Well, yes. Again, I don't understand the question. What DNA?
Well, we're assuming that came from somebody brushing their teeth, right?
Well, yes, but I can't say that it definitely came from her mouth.
Of course not. So I'm saying that the rest of the swabs that you compared it with, you don't know whether the source came from the mouth, the hand, that is touch, the skin cells, or from a bodily fluid, correct?
So you're talking about all the other evidence?
All the other examinations.
Correct. I can't tell you where that DNA came from.
All right, thank you.
All right, kind of tricky there with the across. I might have finished with something simple like, isn't it true none of the testing you did positively connected my client, Michelle Troconis, to anything? Okay, let's take a break. We're going to come back more of the Troconis trial.